I'm Iowa State coach Paul Rhodes, and you're watching Big12Sports.com.
Welcome to this week's Big 12 Report. I'm Wendell Barnhouse, Big12Sports.com correspondent, and I'm joined by yet another co-host, Cassandra Novy. I think, folks, it's pretty obvious that having our third co-host here this season that we're really deep at the position this year.
Yes, we are. I feel like I'm on a new reality TV show where we're trying to find the Big 12's next big co-host, so hopefully America likes me.
Yeah, and hopefully America doesn't wind up thinking I'm some guy named Simon.
Let's hope not. So we had some pretty interesting weather occurrences this past weekend in Big 12 football, and here's William Draper, our resident weatherman, to tell us more.
Parts of Texas, Oklahoma, and New Mexico got what they had been missing for the better part of a year when the heavens opened up on Saturday evening. The result was 3 delayed games in the Big 12. Oklahoma State's game at Tulsa was delayed for over 3 hours and didn't start until 12:16 a.m. Sunday. It ended at 3:35 a.m., which was way past Cowboy head coach Mike Gundy's bedtime.
My biological clock's not made that way. I get up early and I go to bed earlier than most people. I mean, I know I was kind of like a zombie, and I'm sure the players were doing better than I was because they're used to staying up a little later.
Baylor's 48-0 victory over Stephen F. Austin in Waco was interrupted and eventually ended up being called after the third quarter because of severe weather.
We were glad we got the game in, and happy that we got to play a few guys too.
Texas Tech's game at New Mexico was delayed twice for a total of 95 minutes because of lightning. The delays may have given the Red Raiders a shot at the record books, according to Texas Tech coach Tommy Tuberville.
We probably had the longest drive in the history of football. We'd had the ball about 7 or 8 plays, and then we finished out the drive and scored. So a 17-play drive took about an hour and 8 minutes.
For Big12Sports.com, I'm William Draper.
Well, thanks, William, and welcome back to the Weather Channel. But I think we can get rid of these casts because I think it's going to be a little sunnier this weekend, okay?
Yeah, well, I am sure hoping so. I'm ready for some conference play with no delays.
Yes, and I think that this week's schedule is going to be pretty interesting. We've got 5 games on the schedule. Conference play gets started, 2 huge games. So let's start out with Oklahoma State at Texas A&M. This is pretty unusual for Kyle Field. It's only the 3rd time in Kyle Field's history and the first time in 36 years that 2 top 10 teams will be playing in College Station. And for Oklahoma State, it's just the 6th time in its school history that it's been involved in a game featuring 2 top 10 teams. Now, both of these teams have dynamic offenses. I think the key to this game is going to be how much of a pass rush can A&M generate against a very veteran Oklahoma State offensive line, and how well will the Cowboys defense be able to slow down the Aggies' running game. I think if A&M can run the football, going along with the passing attack they've got, it could be kind of a long afternoon for the visitors at Kyle Field. Now, the other big game in the Big 12, the other conference game, is Missouri at top-ranked Oklahoma. When these teams met last season, the Sooners were #1 in the BCS standings, and they came out of Columbia with a 36-27 loss. Now, this game's in Norman, and that means Missouri is facing a huge challenge. Oklahoma has won its last 37 games at home. You combine that with the Sooners' explosive and balanced offense and a defense that last week at Florida State really proved itself to be championship caliber. I think that might be an unbeatable combination. I think if Missouri can get a few breaks and come up with some big plays, I think the Tigers can hang with Oklahoma, but pulling an upset for the 2nd consecutive season is really going to be a challenge. Now here's a look at the complete schedule for Saturday. The Big 12 is 23-2 in non-conference, better than any other conference in the country.
Very impressive. We'll see if the Tigers can pull off another repeat of last year, and if they do, I know that they're going to be on your famous shout-outs. So what do we have this week for shout-outs?
Well, let's start out with some volleyball and soccer. And those conference games for those 2 sports are cranking up this week. There were 2 volleyball matches Wednesday night, and there will be 4 more on Saturday. There are 6 soccer matches this weekend, 4 on Friday and 2 on Sunday. Now, one of those Sunday contests has Missouri at undefeated and 2nd-ranked Oklahoma State. So that's kind of the marquee matchup of this weekend as far as soccer is concerned. And in volleyball, congratulations to Texas Tech coach Dan Flora. The Red Raiders have won 13 consecutive matches after losing their opening match of the season. They're now 13-1. That's the best record for a first-year coach in Texas Tech history. The Red Raiders opened Big 12 conference play Saturday by hosting 16th-ranked Iowa State. Speaking of Iowa State, the Cyclones football team has the week off before it opens conference play on October 1st by hosting Texas. The Cyclones are 3-0, and they have won all 3 games despite trailing going into the 4th quarter. According to research from the school's sports information department, since 1960, Iowa State has 33 victories where they've rallied in the 4th quarter. It's the first time in school history that Iowa State has won 3 consecutive games when trailing in the 4th quarter.
Well, that wraps up another edition of the Big 12 Report. If you'd like to vote for your favorite co-host, visit big12sports.com.
Make sure to call in those numbers. And for this week's Big 12 Report for Cassandra, Novy, I'm Wendell Barnhouse. We'll see you next week.